Jake Martinez wiped his sweaty palms on his uniform for the third time in 10 minutes. The diplomatic meeting room aboard the human ship Horizon's Edge felt smaller than usual, even though it was the largest space they had. Today was the day humanity would meet the Cathari Empire face-to-face for the first time. Remember, they value strength above everything, Dr. Kevin Chang whispered from beside him. The xenobiologist had spent months studying what little they knew about the Cathari. Don't show weakness. Don't make sudden movements. And whatever you do, don't touch them without permission. Captain Lisa Brown stood at attention near the main doors. Her face was calm, but Jake could see the tension in her shoulders. This meeting could decide if humans and Cathari became friends or enemies. No pressure at all. They're coming aboard now, announced Danny Sullivan from his position at the communications panel. His voice cracked slightly. 3 of them, the commander and 2 guards. Jake had seen pictures of Cathari before, but nothing prepared him for seeing them in person. The doors opened with a soft hiss and Commander Zexithera stepped through. She was huge, 7 feet tall and covered in what looked like natural armor plating. Her skin was dark purple like the deepest part of a storm cloud. Scars ran across her arms and face, each one telling a story of battles won. Her eyes were bright yellow and seemed to look right through him. The 2 guards behind her were just as impressive. They moved like trained killers, their hands never far from their weapons. Jake felt very small and very human. "Welcome aboard the Horizon's Edge," Captain Brown said in her most formal voice. "I am Captain Lisa Brown, commanding officer of this vessel." Commander Zexithara's voice was deep and rough like gravel in a cement mixer. "I am Commander Zexithara of the Cathari Imperial Fleet. We come to speak with the humans about alliance." The words were spoken in perfect English, but with a strange accent that made them sound dangerous. Jake noticed that her skin color seemed to shift slightly as she spoke, becoming darker around the edges. "Please be seated." Captain Brown gestured to the specially reinforced chairs they had prepared. The Cathari looked at them suspiciously before sitting down. The chairs creaked under their weight. Dr. Chang began the formal introductions. He spoke slowly and carefully, using the diplomatic phrases they had practiced. Jake tried to pay attention, but he kept staring at Commander Zexithara. She was fascinating in a terrifying way. Her armor-like skin caught the light from the ship's panels, giving her an almost metallic shine. Jake had always been nervous around important people, and when he got nervous, he tended to say stupid things. "That's some impressive armor you've got there," he said during a pause in Dr. Chang's speech. Everyone in the room froze. Dr. Chang's eyes went wide with horror. Captain Brown looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. The 2 Cathari guards moved their hands to their weapons, but Commander Zexithara just stared at him with those yellow eyes. Her skin color seemed to shift again, becoming lighter in some places. "It's not armor," she said quietly. Jake felt his face get hot. Of course it wasn't armor. It was her skin. He had just basically told an alien that her natural body looked like protective gear. "Smooth move, Martinez. Right, sorry," he said, trying to recover. "I just meant, you look really shiny under these lights." The words came out before he could stop them. It was supposed to be a compliment, but it sounded even worse than his first comment. He wanted to crawl under the table and hide. Something amazing happened then. Commander Zexithara's skin began to change color. The deep purple started to shift and lighten, moving through different shades until it became a bright, brilliant red. The change was like watching a sunset in fast motion. It started at her face and spread down her arms and across her body. Within seconds, the fearsome warrior was glowing like a stop sign. The 2 guards immediately stood up, their weapons half drawn. They were speaking rapidly in their own language, and Jake could tell they were upset about something. One of them kept pointing at their commander's red skin. Commander Zexithara stood up so fast her chair fell over. She towered over Jake, her red skin now pulsing with different shades of crimson. For a moment he thought she was going to kill him. Instead she spoke one word in her own language. It sounded like a curse word. Her guards lowered their weapons, but they still looked confused and worried. "This meeting is over," she announced. Her voice was different now, less controlled. "We will return to our ship." "Wait," Captain Brown said, standing up. "Commander, if we have offended you in some way—" "No offense was taken," Zexithara said quickly. Too quickly. Her skin was still bright red, and Jake noticed that she wouldn't look at him directly. "We simply need to consult with our superiors about these negotiations." Dr. Chang was frantically tapping on his tablet, probably looking up what red skin meant for Cathari. His face was getting pale as he read. The Cathari commander moved toward the door, her guards following. But she stopped and turned back to look at Jake. Her yellow eyes met his for just a second, and her skin flashed an even brighter red. "Your name," she said. "Jake," he answered, confused. "Jake Martinez." She nodded once and left. The doors closed behind the three aliens, leaving the humans alone in the meeting room. "Well," Captain Brown said after a long silence, "that could have gone better." Dr. Chang was still reading his tablet, his face getting more worried by the second. "I can't find anything about red skin coloration in Kethari," he said. "This isn't in any of our intelligence reports." Jake slumped in his chair. His first major diplomatic assignment, and he had managed to insult an alien warrior commander within the first 10 minutes. His career was probably over before it started. "Maybe it means she's angry," Danny suggested from his corner. "No," Dr. Chang shook his head. "Kethari show anger through darker colors. Black or deep purple. This red color, I've never seen anything like it in the research." Through the ship's communication system, they could hear activity from the Cathari vessel docked alongside them. Lots of voices speaking rapidly in their alien language. "It sounded like an argument, sir," Danny said, pressing his earpiece. "I'm picking up some of their communications. They're talking about their commander. Something about an unprecedented reaction and asking for emergency consultation with their homeworld." Jake felt even worse. He had not just embarrassed himself. He had somehow created an interstellar incident with his big mouth and bad timing. Captain Brown sat down heavily. "Send a message to Earth Command," she said. "Tell them we may have a problem." Jake couldn't sleep. He had been lying in his small quarters for 3 hours, staring at the ceiling and thinking about Commander Zexathara's bright red skin. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw those yellow eyes looking at him with something he couldn't understand. The ship felt different now, quieter. Even the normal background hums seemed muted, as if the horizon's edge itself was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. A soft knock on his door made him sit up. "Come in," he called. Captain Brown entered, looking tired. She had been in meetings with Earth Command for most of the night. "We need to talk," she said, sitting in the small chair across from his bed. "How much trouble am I in?" Jake asked. "That depends on what we do next," she replied. "Ambassador Helen Parker is coming aboard in 6 hours. She's not happy about flying all the way out here to fix what she's calling a diplomatic disaster caused by casual conversation." Jake winced. Ambassador Parker had a reputation for being tough. She had negotiated peace treaties with 3 different alien species and had never failed a mission. Until now, maybe. "What about the Cathari? Are they leaving?" Captain Brown shook her head. "That's the strange part. They're still here. Their ship hasn't moved, and they're not responding to our communication requests. But Danny has been picking up a lot of radio chatter between their ship and their homeworld." "What are they saying?" "We don't know. Their language is too complex for our translation programs when they speak fast. But we can tell they're arguing about something. There are at least 3 different voices, and they keep mentioning their commander." Jake felt worse. "So I didn't just embarrass her. I got her in trouble with her own people." "Maybe," Captain Brown said. "Or maybe something else is going on. Dr. Chang has been researching Kethari biology all night. He thinks the red coloration might not be what we assumed." Before Jake could ask what she meant, his door communicator buzzed. Danny's voice came through the speaker. "Captain, you need to get to the communications room now." They hurried through the ship's corridors. The horizon's edge was a small diplomatic vessel, built for talking rather than fighting. Most of the crew were scientists, translators, and negotiators. Not the kind of people trained to handle alien warrior crises. In the communications room, Dr. Chang was hunched over a computer screen with 3 empty coffee cups beside him. His hair was messy and his uniform wrinkled. He looked up when they entered. "I think I found something," he said. "But you're not going to like it." Danny was wearing headphones and frantically taking notes. "The Cathari are definitely arguing," he reported. "I can't understand most of it, but I keep hearing the same words over and over. Something that sounds like Vecthara. That might be their commander's name without the human pronunciation. And another word that translates roughly to impossible or never before." Dr. Chang pulled up a new screen. "I've been going through every piece of Cathari research we have. Official government files, Scientific studies, even old exploration reports from ships that encountered them in neutral space. And, Captain Brown asked, the red skin color isn't mentioned anywhere, not once. According to every source we have, Cathari skin colors range from light purple to deep black. They change based on mood and social status. Purple means calm authority. Dark colors mean anger or aggression. But red? He shook his head. Red doesn't exist in their documented color spectrum. Jake sat down heavily in an empty chair. So what does that mean? I don't know, Dr. Chang admitted. But I think it means you made something happen that has never happened before in Cathari history. The communications panel started beeping. Danny quickly put on his headphones and listened. His eyes went wide. They're requesting another meeting, he announced. Just Commander Zexathera. She wants to speak with Jake alone. Captain Brown stood up fast. Absolutely not. We don't send untrained personnel into potentially dangerous situations with alien warriors. But sir, Danny continued, she specifically asked for him. She said, let me get this translation right. The human who caused the impossible color must explain his actions. Dr. Chang looked up from his research. This could be important. If Jake somehow triggered a biological response that Cathari don't normally experience, we need to understand what happened. Or she could kill him for embarrassing her, Captain Brown pointed out. Jake felt his stomach twist into knots, but he also felt something else. Curiosity. Commander Zexathara had seemed more confused than angry when her skin changed color. And the way she had looked at him before leaving, it wasn't the look of someone planning murder. I'll do it, he said. Everyone turned to stare at him. Captain Brown shook her head. Jake, you're not qualified for solo contact with potentially hostile aliens. But I'm the one who started this mess, he replied. And maybe I'm the only one who can fix it. Besides, if she wanted me dead, wouldn't she have just killed me during the first meeting? Dr. Chang nodded slowly. He has a point. Cathari warriors don't usually hesitate when they decide to eliminate a threat. The fact that she left without violence and then requested another meeting suggests she wants answers, not revenge. Danny was listening to his headphones again. There's something else, he said. I'm picking up another conversation from their ship. It sounds like there's disagreement about whether the commander should meet with Jake. One voice keeps saying something that might translate to dangerous or forbidden. Forbidden? Captain Brown repeated. Why would talking to Jake be forbidden? Dr. Chang was typing rapidly on his computer again. I'm cross-referencing Cathari social customs with the little we know about their military hierarchy, he said. If the red coloration represents something outside their normal experience, he paused, reading something on his screen. His face went pale. What is it? Jake asked. I found one reference to unusual skin coloration in Cathari, Dr. Chang said quietly. It's in an old report from a human merchant who claimed to have witnessed Cathari mating rituals. The report was dismissed as unreliable because he described colors that didn't match any other observations. What colors? Captain Brown demanded. Dr. Chang looked directly at Jake. Red. Bright red. Exactly like what we saw from Commander Zexathara. The room went completely silent except for the hum of the ship's systems. Jake felt his face getting warm as the implications hit him. So when I complimented her appearance and he started, you may have triggered a biological response related to Cathari reproduction, Dr. Chang finished, which would explain why her people are calling it impossible and forbidden. Cathari warriors probably aren't supposed to show that kind of reaction, especially not to aliens. Danny suddenly sat up straight in his chair. New message coming in, he announced. Commander Zexathara will meet with Jake in 1 hour. Neutral location. No weapons, no guards. Captain Brown looked at Jake with a mixture of concern and determination. Are you sure about this? Jake thought about the proud warrior whose skin had turned bright red because of his stupid comments. He thought about how she had looked confused and embarrassed rather than angry. Most of all, he thought about the fact that she was probably in serious trouble with her own people because of him. Yeah, he said. I'm sure. If I got her into this mess, maybe I can help get her out of it. The neutral meeting room was located in the docking tube between the two ships. It was a small, cramped space with basic life support and 2 simple chairs. Jake arrived first, his hands shaking slightly as he waited. He had spent the last hour learning everything he could about Cathari culture from Dr. Chang. Most of it was not encouraging. Cathari society was built around strength, honor, and military discipline. Showing weakness was the worst possible thing a warrior could do. And if Dr. Chang was right about the red coloration, Commander Zexathera had shown the ultimate weakness by displaying mating interest in an alien. The door on the Cathari side opened with a mechanical hiss. Commander Zexathera stepped through and Jake had to work hard not to stare. She had traded her battle gear for what looked like formal ceremonial armor. It was sleeker than what she had worn before, with intricate designs carved into the surface. Her skin was back to its normal deep purple color, but Jake could see the effort it was taking her to maintain it. Small patches of lighter color flickered across her arms and face like she was fighting to keep control. "Jake Martinez," she said, settling into the chair across from him. Even sitting down, she towered over him. "Commander Zexathera," he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me." She studied him with those bright yellow eyes. Up close, Jake could see that they weren't just yellow. They were flecks of gold and orange like a sunset. It was actually quite beautiful, though he kept that thought to himself. "You do not fear me," she observed. It wasn't a question. Jake considered lying, but something about her direct stare made him want to be honest. "I'm terrified," he admitted. "But I'm also sorry. I think I got you into trouble with my big mouth, and I want to help fix it if I can." One of her eyebrow ridges raised slightly. It was the first expression he had seen from her that seemed surprised rather than controlled. "You are concerned for my welfare?" she asked. "Well, yeah," Jake said. "I mean, you didn't ask me to be an idiot during our first meeting. That was all me. It doesn't seem fair that you should get in trouble because I don't know how to keep my stupid comments to myself." Zexthara's skin flickered, showing brief flashes of lighter purple before she controlled it again. "Explain your stupid comments." Jake felt heat rise in his cheeks. "When I said you looked shiny and complimented your skin, I was trying to be friendly. In human culture, when we think someone looks good, we tell them, it's supposed to be nice. You found my appearance pleasing?" The question was asked very carefully, as if the words were dangerous. "Yeah," Jake said, then immediately felt like he should explain more. "I mean, you're intimidating as hell, and I'm pretty sure you could break me in half without trying. But yeah, you look impressive. Powerful. The way your skin caught the light was actually kind of amazing." As he spoke, Jake watched in fascination as Zexthara's carefully controlled purple began to shift. Lighter shades appeared at her temples and spread slowly across her face. She was fighting it, but the color change was happening anyway. "Stop," she said sharply. "Stop what?" "Stop saying those things." Her voice was strained. "You do not understand what you are causing." Jake leaned forward in his chair. "Then help me understand. What does the red color mean?" Zexthara was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than he had heard before. "It means something that should not exist between warriors. Something that makes us weak." "What kind of something?" She looked away from him, staring at the metal wall. "Your people have a word. Attraction. Interest in another being for purposes beyond battle or alliance." Jake felt his own face getting warm. "Oh, Cathari warriors are trained from birth to suppress such feelings," she continued. "They interfere with clear thinking and effective combat. A warrior who displays attraction, especially to an enemy or unknown species, brings shame to their unit and their family. But I'm not your enemy," Jake pointed out, "and humans aren't unknown anymore. We're here trying to make friends." "That does not matter to my superiors," Zexthara said. Her skin was now showing obvious patches of lighter color despite her efforts to control it. "The fact that my body reacted to your words in a way that has never been documented, they believe I've become compromised." Jake felt anger rise in his chest. Not at her, but at the situation. "That's ridiculous. So what if you found me? Interesting. How does that make you a bad warrior?" "Because warriors must be focused only on duty," she replied. "Emotions cloud judgment. Make us weak. Make us hesitate in battle." Jake laughed and immediately regretted it when Zexthara's eyes snapped back to his face. Her expression was dangerous. "Sorry," he said quickly. "I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at how wrong that is." "Explain." Jake took a deep breath. "In human military history, some of our best soldiers were people who had something to fight for. Not just duty, but love. Parents fighting to protect their children. Soldiers who fought harder because they wanted to get home to their families. Couples who served together and covered each other's backs better than any other team." Zexthara's skin flickered again, this time showing brief flashes of a color Jake hadn't seen before. Not red, but something warmer, almost golden. You believe emotions make warriors stronger? She asked. I think the right emotions can, Jake said. Fear keeps you alive. Anger gives you strength when you need it. And caring about someone, that doesn't make you weak. It gives you a reason to be strong. My people would not agree. Jake grinned and was pleased to see more of that golden color appear on her skin. Well, maybe your people haven't met enough humans yet. We're pretty good at being emotional and tough at the same time. You are certainly emotional, Zexthera observed. You have displayed fear, concern, anger, and amusement in the span of minutes. Yet you do not seem weak. Thanks, I think. She studied him again with that intense stare. When you complimented my appearance, you were not attempting to weaken my resolve or distract me from my duties. No, Jake said firmly. I was just being honest. Where I come from, if you think someone looks good, you tell them. It's a way of being friendly and showing respect. Respect, she repeated as if testing the word. Yeah, I respected how strong and confident you looked. Still do, actually. The color-changing thing is pretty amazing, too. The golden color spread further across her skin, and this time she didn't try to stop it. You find the color changing amazing? Are you kidding? It's like having mood lighting built right into your body. That's incredible. Humans just get red faces when we're embarrassed or excited. You get a whole light show. Zexithara made a sound that might have been a laugh, though it was deeper and rougher than human laughter. Her skin was now showing patches of gold mixed with lighter purple. A light show, she said. Yeah, and it's beautiful, Jake added without thinking. The golden color flashed brighter, and Zexithara looked directly at him. For the first time since he had met her, she looked genuinely happy rather than controlled or confused. You are a very unusual human, Jake Martinez, she said. So I've been told, usually not as a compliment. It is a compliment, she said seriously. You have shown me that perhaps my people are not correct about everything. Jake felt something warm spread through his chest. It was the same feeling he got when he made a friend laugh or helped solve a problem. Does that mean you're not in trouble anymore? Zexithara's expression became more serious, though the golden color remained in her skin. I'm still in great trouble, but perhaps it is trouble worth having. What happens now? Now, she said, standing up. I must decide whether to obey my commanders and return home in disgrace or find another path. Jake stood up too, looking up at her impressive height. For what it's worth, I think you should find another path. Someone as smart and strong as you shouldn't have to hide who you are just to make other people comfortable. The golden color spread across her entire face, and Jake realized he was seeing something no other human had ever witnessed. A Cathari warrior experiencing joy. The communication came in the middle of the ship's night cycle, when most of the crew was sleeping. Jake was awakened by the emergency alert tone echoing through the horizon's edge. He quickly dressed and ran to the command center, where he found Captain Brown, Dr. Chang, and several other officers gathered around the main display screen. Ambassador Helen Parker had arrived while he was sleeping and was now standing with her arms crossed, looking very unhappy. What's going on? Jake asked. The Cathari homeworld wants to speak with us, Captain Brown replied. Directly. High command level communication. Ambassador Parker turned to look at Jake with cold eyes. They're asking specifically about the human who corrupted their warrior commander. That would be you. Jake felt his stomach drop. Corrupted? Dr. Chang looked up from his tablet. I've been monitoring Cathari communications all night. From what I can translate, there's a big argument happening on their ship. Some of the crew think Commander Zexithara should be removed from command for showing inappropriate reactions to human contact. What kind of inappropriate reactions? Ambassador Parker demanded. The color changes, Jake said quietly. She told me yesterday that Cathari warriors aren't supposed to show attraction or interest in anyone. It's considered a weakness. Ambassador Parker's expression became even colder. You caused a military commander to display romantic interest? Do you have any idea how dangerous that could be for our diplomatic relations? Before Jake could answer, the main screen activated. A massive Cathari face appeared, filling the display. This alien was clearly older than Commander Zexithara, with deeper scars and skin that was almost black with authority. When he spoke, his voice made the ship's speakers rattle. I am War Prime Kethmore, Supreme Commander of the Cathari Imperial Fleet. I demand to speak with the human who has compromised one of my officers. Captain Brown stepped forward. I am Captain Lisa Brown, commanding officer of this vessel. How may we assist you, War Prime? The giant alien's yellow eyes moved across the humans visible on the screen until they found Jake. You, human Jake Martinez, you will answer for your actions against Commander Zexithara. Jake felt everyone in the room staring at him. Ambassador Parker looked like she wanted to throw him out of the airlock. But something about the War Prime's tone made him angry instead of scared. What actions? Jake asked, stepping in front of the screen. Having a conversation? War Prime Kethmore's skin grew even darker. You used psychological manipulation to cause unprecedented biological responses in a decorated warrior. You have weakened her combat effectiveness and brought shame upon her unit. That's completely wrong, Jake said, his voice getting louder. I complimented her appearance because that's what humans do when we respect someone. I didn't manipulate anything. Silence, the War Prime roared. Cathari warriors do not display weakness. Commander Zexithara's reactions to your presence indicate emotional compromise that makes her unfit for duty. She will be recalled immediately for disciplinary action. Jake felt heat rise in his face. Disciplinary action? For what, having feelings? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Ambassador Parker grabbed his arm, trying to pull him away from the screen. Jake, stop talking, she hissed, but Jake shook her off. He was thinking about Zexithara's golden skin when she had smiled, and how happy she had looked for those few moments. The idea that her own people wanted to punish her for that made him furious. You want to know what I think? He said to the screen. I think you're scared. The War Prime's eyes widened. Behind Jake, he heard several people gasp. You probably weren't supposed to call the supreme military commander of an alien empire scared. I think you're scared that if your warriors start feeling emotions, they might start thinking for themselves, Jake continued. And if they start thinking for themselves, they might realize that fighting all the time isn't the only way to be strong. How dare you? The War Prime began. How dare I what? Tell the truth? Jake stepped closer to the screen. You know what makes humans strong? Not pretending we don't have feelings. Using those feelings to fight harder, love deeper, and protect the people we care about. Commander Zexithara is one of the strongest people I've ever met, and you want to punish her for being capable of more than just violence. War Prime Kethmore was now completely black with rage. You know nothing of Ketheri's strength, soft human. Maybe not, Jake admitted, but I know something about strength in general. And I know that if you have to forbid your people from feeling anything, you're not building strength, you're building fear. The screen suddenly changed. Commander Zexithara appeared, pushing the War Prime aside. Her skin was cycling rapidly through different colors, red, gold, purple, and shades Jake had never seen before. Enough, she said, her voice cutting through the War Prime's protests. I will speak for myself. Zexithara, you are out of line, the War Prime growled. I am exactly where I need to be, she replied, staring directly at Jake through the screen. Her skin settled into that warm golden color he was beginning to associate with her happiness. Jake Martinez speaks truth whether we wish to hear it or not. Commander, you are compromised, another Cathari voice said from off-screen. Return to quarters immediately. No, Zexithara said firmly. I have served the Cathari Empire faithfully for 15 years. I have won battles, protected our people, and brought honor to our fleet. And in all that time I have never felt as strong as I did when this human showed me that strength and emotion could exist together. Jake felt his heart beating faster. On the screen, the War Prime was arguing with other Cathari in their own language, but Zexithara kept her eyes on Jake. You asked what my reactions mean, she said to her commander without looking away from the screen. They mean I have found something worth fighting for beyond mere duty. They mean I have discovered what humans call hope. Hope makes warriors weak, the War Prime snarled. Does it? Zexithara challenged. Then why do the humans fight so hard to protect their families? Why do they explore dangerous space to find new friends? Why does this small, soft human stand before the supreme commander of our fleet and defend my honor when he has nothing to gain and everything to lose? Jake realized she was right. He was risking his career, his mission, and possibly his life to argue with an alien military commander about feelings. But looking at Zexithara's golden skin and determined expression, he knew he would do it again, because some things are worth the risk, he said. Zexithara smiled, and her skin brightened to a color like sunrise. Exactly. The War Prime was shouting orders in Cathari now, but Zexithara ignored him. Jake Martinez, she said formally. I request permission to transfer to human service as a cultural liaison officer. Everyone in the room went completely silent. Ambassador Parker's mouth fell open. Captain Brown looked stunned. "You want to defect?" Jake asked. "I want to learn," Zexthera corrected. "I want to discover what it means to be a warrior who can feel deeply and still fight effectively. And I believe humans can teach me this." War Prime Kethmore roared something that definitely sounded like a curse. "If you abandon your post for these soft aliens, you will be considered a traitor to the Empire." Zexthera finally looked away from Jake to stare at her supreme commander. Her skin shifted to a color Jake had never seen before, deep red mixed with gold, like fire. "Then I choose to be a traitor who can smile," she said, rather than a loyal servant who has forgotten how to feel joy. The communication ended with an angry burst of static, leaving the humans staring at a blank screen in complete silence. 3 months later, Jake stood in the observation deck of the human research station orbiting Earth. Through the wide windows, he could see ships from a dozen different alien species docked at the station's ports. But he was watching one ship in particular, a sleek Kethari vessel that had just arrived from the Outer Rim. "Nervous?" asked Dr. Patricia Wong, the station's chief medical officer. She had been studying Kethari biology since Zexthara's defection, trying to understand the full spectrum of their emotional color changes. "Excited," Jake corrected, though his hands were shaking slightly. "It's been 3 months since I've seen her in person." After Zexthara had requested asylum with the humans, everything had happened very quickly. The Kethari Empire had declared her a traitor and cut off diplomatic relations. But word of a Kethari warrior choosing emotion over duty had spread throughout the galaxy, and the results had been unexpected. First, 2 more Kethari warriors had requested transfers to human service. Then a group of young Kethari scientists had contacted Earth Command, asking about human educational programs. Within weeks, there was a quiet but growing movement of Kethari, who were curious about what they called the human way of feeling. Ambassador Parker had been furious at first, blaming Jake for destroying the alliance with the Kethari Empire. But when other alien species started asking about humanity's approach to emotional intelligence in warfare, she began to see new possibilities. "There she is," Dr. Wong said, pointing out the window. Jake looked down at the docking bay and saw a familiar tall figure walking up the boarding ramp. Even from this distance, he could see that Zexthara's skin was a warm golden color with patches of lighter purple, colors that Dr. Wong had identified as contentment mixed with anticipation. "She's gotten better at controlling the color changes," Dr. Wong observed. "Last month she could barely maintain purple for more than a few minutes. Now she's showing complex emotional combinations." Jake grinned. "She's learning." The past 3 months had been the strangest and most rewarding of Jake's life. His job title was officially Kethari Cultural Integration Specialist, but what he actually did was help Zexthara and the other defecting Kethari learn how to be warriors, who could also feel emotions. Turned out that Kethari made incredibly effective soldiers once they learned to channel their feelings productively. Fear made them more cautious and careful. Anger gave them extra strength in combat. And the protective instincts that came with caring about their human teammates made them fight harder than ever. The observation deck doors opened, and Zexthara walked in. She had traded her traditional Kethari armor for a modified human uniform that accommodated her larger frame. Her skin was cycling through golden and green shades that Jake had learned meant she was happy to see him. "Jake Martinez," she said formally, though her skin colors gave away her real emotions. "Commander Zexthara," he replied, matching her formal tone. "How was the mission?" "Successful," she reported. "The Vaxi pirates who had been raiding human shipping lanes have been eliminated. No human casualties." Dr. Wong stepped forward. "And how did you feel during the combat?" This was always the important question. Kethari traditionalists claimed that emotions would make their warriors weak and hesitant in battle. But the results suggested otherwise. Zexthara's skin shifted to a complex pattern of red, gold, and dark purple. "I felt protective of my human teammates," she said. "Angry at the pirates for threatening innocent traders. Focused on completing the mission successfully. And..." She paused, her skin showing brief flashes of bright red. "Proud of what we accomplished together." "No hesitation? No emotional compromise?" Dr. Wong asked, taking notes. "None," Zexthara confirmed. "If anything, caring about the outcome made me more effective. I fought harder because the mission mattered to me personally, not just as a duty. Jake felt a warm feeling spread through his chest. 3 months ago, Zexithara had been a rigidly controlled warrior who believed emotions were weakness. Now she was learning to use her feelings as a source of strength. "There's more," Zexithara continued, and her skin shifted to colors that Jake associated with excitement. "During the mission, we received a communication from a Cathari patrol ship. They were pursuing smugglers near the same system." "Official Empire forces?" Dr. Wong asked. "Yes. But when they realized who I was, instead of treating me as a traitor, they asked for tactical advice. And when I suggested we coordinate our attacks," her skin brightened to a brilliant gold. "They agreed." Jake felt his eyes widen. "The Empire worked with you?" "Unofficially," Zexithara said. "The patrol commander told me privately that word of our successes has reached many Cathari units. Some are beginning to question whether emotional suppression is truly the path to maximum effectiveness." Dr. Wong looked excited. This could be the beginning of a real cultural shift. "Perhaps," Zexithara agreed. "But there is resistance as well. War Prime Kethmore has issued orders that any Cathari caught cooperating with emotional compromised units will face severe punishment." "So what happens now?" Jake asked. Zexithara walked to the observation window and looked out at the various alien ships docked around the station. Her skin settled into a thoughtful mixture of purple and gold. "Now we prove that the human way works," she said. "We show the galaxy that warriors can be strong and emotional, that caring about something makes you fight harder, not weaker, that joy and determination can exist alongside discipline and effectiveness." Jake joined her at the window. "No pressure at all." She made that deep, rough sound that was her version of laughter. "I have learned from humans that pressure can be useful. It focuses the mind and motivates action." "And how do you feel about that pressure?" Dr. Wong asked, still taking notes. Zexithara looked at Jake and her skin shifted to that beautiful bright red that had started everything. "I feel ready," she said. "For the first time in my life, I feel truly ready for whatever comes next." Jake grinned. "Even if what comes next is me making more stupid comments that get you in trouble?" "Especially then," she replied, and her red skin began to show patches of gold. "Your stupid comments led me to discover something I never knew I was missing." "What's that?" "The ability to choose my own path instead of following orders blindly. The knowledge that strength comes in many forms and—" her skin flashed brighter red. "The experience of being appreciated for who I am, not just what I can do in battle." Dr. Wong cleared her throat. "I hate to interrupt, but we have a briefing in 10 minutes. The Council wants a full report on the integration program." Zexithara nodded, but her attention remained on Jake. "Will you be there?" "Wouldn't miss it," Jake said. "Someone has to make sure you don't forget to mention the important stuff." "And what is the important stuff?" she asked. Jake looked at her skin, still cycling through reds and golds like a living sunset. He thought about the rigid, controlled warrior she had been 3 months ago, and the complex, emotional person she was becoming. "That being different doesn't make you weak," he said. "That feelings can be a source of strength, and that sometimes the best thing you can do is trust someone enough to let them see you blush." Zexithara's skin brightened to the most brilliant red Jake had ever seen from her, mixed with so much gold that she seemed to glow. "Jake Martinez," she said solemnly, "you are still the strangest human I have ever met." "Thanks," he replied. "I'll take that as a compliment." "It is," she said. And for the first time since he had known her, she reached out and gently touched his shoulder with one large, warm hand. "It definitely is." As they walked toward the briefing room together, Jake couldn't help but smile. He had started this whole adventure by making an embarrassing comment about an alien warrior's shiny skin. Now he was helping to revolutionize interspecies military, cooperation, and maybe even changing how an entire civilization thought about emotions and strength. Not bad for a guy who was just trying to be friendly. Behind them, through the observation windows, more ships were arriving at the station. Human vessels, but also ships from a dozen other species, all coming to learn about the new model of emotional intelligence in warfare that humans and their Cathari allies were developing. The galaxy was changing, one conversation at a time. And it had all started with a simple compliment that made an alien warrior turn bright red.